Alright, good morning. I'm here with my niece Kim, and I'm Ron. We're in front of our many greats, grandfather Anton Bartnick's. And it's the weekend before Memorial Day, and we thought we'd clean the stone for Mr. Bartnick here. So real quickly, if you look at the stone, you can see you got a little bit of mold and lichen at the top here, some here on the side, and we got this darkest coloring here on this side here, and a little bit dispersed in the lettering, more lichen and mold. And something to also notice is that this marble matches this marble, but this bottom marble is a different type of marble. And where that comes into play is the quality of the marble and the type of lichen on it is going to determine how well it cleans up, or because if the lichen is grown, if the marble is less dense and the lichen is able to grow further into the marble, the more ingrained the stains and the coloring will be permanent, all right, or not as conducive to being clean. So here's what we got. We have, we didn't have the bottle, but this is a D2 cleaner. It's a biocide, which basically means it kills living things. Technically you should wear goggles, but if you're just by yourself and you know not to spray in your eyes, you'll be fine. Most dangerous thing is have two people working on a stone and spraying the bottles at each other from the sides of the stone. So don't do that, okay, and stay upwind, I guess you could say.
And it can be a mild skin irritant, so it's good to wear gloves.
That is good. That is true as well. Thank you, Kim. All right, so we don't have the bottle, and Kim will show a picture later. Right, then we got our pressurized water to rinse the stone, and we got a variety of 3 brushes, a big brush, narrower brush that helps get in the lettering. Old toothbrushes are good to really get in the deep lettering, and this stone actually has some really nice deep lettering. And then on top of that, we got some bamboo picks, which work really well to clean out some of the deeper lettering. The reason we use the bamboo picks and the plastic brushes, and especially with marble is a softer stone, you want to use what you clean with that's softer than the stone. You don't want to use a metal brush, you don't want to use a metal scraper, okay? Looking at this equipment here, the only other thing we might have, it would be a plastic scraper, like those dishpan plastic scrapers.
This one does have a little scraper here on the side.
Okay, I've been corrected. We do have a little scraper in this side. All right, but again, plastic scraper or an old spatula. If the lichen is on so thick, that's when it's nice to have a nice flat thing to take it off. Right, so as far as cleaning goes, you always want to wet the stone first, and you can put a little soap on, but you don't want to waste your soap because it's sort of expensive. The first one, if you wet it and you do a preliminary scrub, get all the loose stuff off, and then come by with your soap and clean it. Sometimes people think it's like, oh, I see all this lichen, I'm going to take this cleaner, I'm going to spray it on, and then I'm going to come back later and I'm going to let it soak in, let it clean, and I'm going to come back and clean it up. That actually doesn't work very well for this reason. The soap gets on thick and then it starts to run, and this isn't what happened here, but you can see these streaks. Where the soap runs down in the streaks, then you'll have a streaky clean and it won't look too good. And it may or may not come out with time in the sun. So it's better to just clean it in one sitting. Let your soap sit for 5 minutes or 10 minutes if you want. It needs to stay wet, and then rinse it well, right? Rather than especially just going over the mold, and then it's like, it'll be a mess. It won't look as nice. All right, we're back. We just got done doing a pre-rinse and loosening up everything. Kim, stand back so I don't spray you in the face.
Okay.
Hopefully I spray this, you can see that you start to see some of the green scum running And that's sort of the problem. If you just spray it on the soap first and leave it sit, for a day or two, then it's going to cause those type of streaks, and it may or may not come out. So we're rinsing right now, and again also on the side where it's a little dark, we don't know how well this is going to clean out, but now that we've cleaned it, we can actually see that dark is actually an aspect of the marble.
Oh.
That's actually an aspect of the marble. So that's not going to clean out, because you see these dark streaks in the marble. That's actually more of the original marble. See all the dark? See how?
Yep.
Yeah. So good news for us, but at least it makes it look like it's part of the marble and not something on there. So we'll just clean a little bit more here. So anyway, we're going to rinse it, then we're going to come back and we're going to lightly put some soap on, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, we did our initial rinse from just our first mechanical debridement with just our soft brushes in the water, and you can see, hopefully you can see it's a little better. If you can't see it up here, if you look at this corner, you can see where that was basically black. This is just the first wash of the stone, and you can see how pretty that marble is down at the base. Anyway, we're going to apply our soap next, and again, this stuff is expensive, but also you really don't need a lot. A little goes a long way. So we're just trying to do a light mist on each side, and we're going to let it sit for 5-10 minutes, because this is a biocide. This is a cloudy day. This is the best weather to be doing this, because you don't want the soap to dry on the stone while you're washing it, because then you got to loosen it up again once it dries. Okay. Something else about the D2, it'll soak into the softer stone like the marble, and it'll act over time. So all is not lost if you do your initial cleaning and you see there's some areas that didn't lighten up as much as you could. But the D2 is going to work. It's going to continue killing that mold and lichen for at least the next 2 or 3 months. Every time it rains, it's going to reactivate it and keep working. The sunlight's going to help it too, break up that mold. And so these stones, and we've had this happen in our other family cemetery, over 2-3 years, and some of the marble is just basically bone white at this time. You would agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's impressive the duration of time that it really cleans up afterwards.
Okay. And the other comment I was make is sometimes people they want to love stones to death. Right, so the reason we have the soft brushes and everything is you can over clean a stone. So the guideline we're going to give you is like every 5 years, right? Now if you have a really heavy molded stone, you might come by the first couple of years and first cleaning is good, second year you do it, it'll be easier, then each year you're killing a little more mold. But after that, and we just checked our original family cemetery, it's been about 5 or 6 years, and just now some of the lichen is starting to come back on a few of the lighter marble, and we're going to probably go back sometime in the next year and clean those, and it's going to be much easier to clean and maintain over time. Right, so we're going to let this sit, and we'll be back with you and when we start scrubbing. Alrighty, we're back. We're actually done with our initial cleaning, and just some quick observations. It may not be visible on the video, but you can see the inscriptions on the side are more clearly visible, especially on the back. We got Jesus hanging on the cross up here. He's a little more visible. We still see where we didn't get off of some of the lichen or the mold off, right? There's a little greenish over here where it's embedded in the stone. A little green here, a little here. When we look at this discoloration again, we can see maybe a little bit of it is a little bit of black mold, but a lot of this extra gray, darker gray, is the color of the marble, right? But look at this bottom marble. The marbling in it actually is really striking and come out now. And so the plan is we're going to let the D2 that is soaked into the marble continue to kill this lichen, and then maybe next year we'll do a light cleaning. You could scrub this to death for the next 2 hours, and it's not going to change that green. Just let the biocide, the D2, do its work, and just come back next year. But I'm quite pleased with how this looks. Kim, how do you think this looks?
It turned out better than expected. And just to clarify, the last thing that we did before turning the camera back on is we did a final rinse with water, so that there's not any heavy coating or soap scum left. But like Ron said, it does soak into some of the marble a little bit, so you get that long-term action of the biocide.
Alrighty, that's it. You may contact Kim Calderhouse with any questions or concerns. See you next year.